Hi everyone, I'm Bruce Hitchin, and this is Center Lane. I've been working on the Mustang in an attempt to jumpstart this restoration. In this episode, I'm going to tell you all about the process of tackling a restoration project. Before we get into it, please remember to like and subscribe to my channel, and click the bell to be notified of future episodes. Today I'm talking about the process that I've come up with to execute this project, while at the same time trying to keep it on budget. Now, this is my first real restoration project. While I did do some restoration on the 928, I had other people do all of the work. For this project, I'm going to be a lot more hands-on. I have to emphasize that this is new to me. I have never done much mechanical work, and so I'm open to your thoughts and ideas and things to watch out for, or other helpful advice. So leave me a message in the comments below. I want the car to turn out nice, but at the same time, I don't want to spend way more money on the car than it's worth. So I have to go about it in a methodical way. Mustangs similar to mine, in decent restored condition, usually sell for around $30,000. So my goal is to finish this car and stay close to that budget, including what I paid for the car. I've already set my expectations, which I told you about in my last episode. So I've broken the project down into the following 5 areas of focus. Number 1 was to figure out the transmission problem. I already determined that the transmission is working fine and that the problem getting it into gear has to do with the shifter. I replaced the old shifter with a new Hurst Competition Plus, and now the car's driving fine. Number 2 is to deal with any rust issues on the frame and figure out if there is any other work that needs to be done underneath the car. The frame rails at the back, where the leaf springs attach, have rusted through. At the front, there is some rust on the front frame rails. This car also has a torque box, which strengthens the frame by tying the frame rail to the outer rocker panel. First generation convertibles got one on both the driver and the passenger sides, but the coupes and fastbacks didn't get them on either side. In 1967, Ford added the torque box to the driver's side on all body styles. And then in 1968, they decided it was a good idea to have one on both sides. Since my car is a 67, it doesn't have one on the passenger side, so I'm going to add it. So far, the suspension looks good, but the rear of the car was raised, I guess to give it that dragster style look that was popular back in the 80s. I want to return it to the original ride height, and I noticed a loose rivet on one of the leaf springs, so I've decided to replace the leaf springs and the shackles. Number 3 is the engine. The engine seems to be running well, and I haven't found anything leaking. I'm planning to remove the engine, but mostly so I can clean and paint it and refurbish the engine bay. The car seems to be running fine, but before I remove it, I'm going to do a compression test to make sure there are no issues to address when the engine is out. When it is out of the car, I'm going to paint the block, have the manifold powder coated, and clean up all the other components. And I'm going to change all of the engine gaskets. I'm also going to replace the valve covers and a few other components to improve the look of the engine. Number 4 is the body and the exterior aesthetics of the car. I'm going to remove all the exterior handles, bumpers, trim, and emblems. The front bumper is in good shape, as is the window trim, but the rear bumper, door handles, and other trim need to be replaced. Now, if this was a rare car, then all those parts would need to be refurbished or re-chromed, but since Mustangs are so popular, all these parts are available at a pretty reasonable cost, so it makes more sense to replace them. I've been slowly taking apart this car and refurbishing what I can. I've taken out the taillights and I've refurbished them. I've painted the housings and I've polished the plastic. The chrome trims that go around here, they're all pitted, so I've bought new ones. The grille trim's in pretty good shape, so I'll polish those parts up and straighten and repaint the grille. I've also taken things off like the license plate light and the engine compartment light and the bumper brackets, and I've refurbished them. And I have them here ready to be put back on the car. I've put them in plastic and I've labeled them. There's a lot of parts like this that I'm going to need to redo as I work through this project. When it comes to painting, the body is going to be fully repainted. Now, for the most part, the body's in good shape. The lines are straight and there's minimal rust. There's a little bit of rust at the bottom of the doors and the rear trunk, but none of that seems very extensive. There are some areas where I can see sanding scratches on the body, like through the paint. So those areas are going to have to be repaired when I repaint the car. There's also a couple areas where the paint reacted somehow, and it looks like, not like it's a little bit bubbled. So that'll all get fixed up. Number 5 is the interior. And I'm not going to focus too much on the interior right now. And that's mostly because the project just seems a little bit too daunting when I think about everything that needs to be done to the car. So I've kind of put the interior on the back burner. I know it's on the horizon. There are a couple parts I've pulled out, like I've pulled out the center console and I've started to restore it, but I'm mostly focused on other parts of the restoration. Now, to prepare all these things, I've had to buy some tools and also set up some processes. The most common advice I ever hear from people who restore a car are that you should take lots of pictures and document everything. So I do take lots of pictures. You know, a restoration project, it takes time and you'll forget how things came apart, but more importantly, you'll forget how they go back together. So I'm going to make sure that I take lots of pictures and that I hang on to those so that I can refer to them when it comes time to putting all of this stuff back on the car. As far as tools, I'm lucky. I have an old friend of mine who used to be a mechanic and now he's a lawyer, but he asked me to store all of his tools, which, what a hardship. I have all of those tools here in my garage. I've organized them. In fact, they came with the tool boxes and everything. So I'm in pretty good shape from that perspective. One thing I did buy was a quick jack portable lift. This is a portable hydraulic lift and it makes things so much easier. I didn't really want to spend the money on a larger lift and I don't really know if I have the space in my garage for a larger lift. But the quick jack allows the car to be jacked up about 30 inches or so, and it's great for getting underneath the car, lots of room to move around. They normally cost about $1,500. I found mine on Craigslist for $900 and it had barely been used. So it was a really good deal. I also recently bought an engine stand. I got one on sale. It was about $100 and actually a pretty good one. I think it was normally about $200. And I'm also going to need an engine hoist. I don't know whether I'm going to buy an engine hoist or whether I'll just rent one when that time comes. But that is something that I'm thinking about what to do. I've also set up a computer in my garage. I've got this computer right here. And this allows me to source parts and also to look at instructional videos if I'm wanting to figure out how to do something. And I bought this Dymo printer. The printer is great. It allows me to label everything so it's nice and legible. You can see here, like on this part, this is the license plate light. I've repainted it, cleaned it all up, put a new wire on it, put some new heat shrink on here. It's all ready to go. I've printed out a label, license plate light. I stick it inside the bag so that it doesn't, even if it comes off, it's still with the part. And those things will go back on the shelf and wait for me to put them back onto the car. In addition to the plastic bags, I've bought some larger plastic tubs for larger parts. Just, you know, went down to the hardware store and bought some plastic tubs that I can put parts in, keep things organized. One of the things that I found really helpful is to go through the CJ Pony Parts website. And CJ Pony Parts is a company that specializes in Mustang parts. They do sell parts for other cars as well, but as the name suggests, the Pony Parts, they started in Mustang parts and they have almost everything that you could ever want for your car. And things for Mustangs are pretty reasonable as well. I went through the site almost page by page, and you know, you can look at all of the different categories, and I just made a complete list of parts that I thought I was going to need. I added them to a spreadsheet, and that spreadsheet allowed me to budget appropriately. I put the price with them, also put a link back to the part in the spreadsheet. There are some things that I know are absolutely necessary that I need to buy for the car, but there's also some things that I would like to buy, and I know that there's going to be some things that come up along the way. So I need to leave room in the budget for those things, and that just allows me to keep track of all the parts that I want to get and budget appropriately. So that's my plan and how I'm going to attack this project. Now all I have to do is really get busy on the car. I'm currently in the process of cleaning the undercarriage, getting rid of all of the surface rust. There are some frame members, as I mentioned, that need to be replaced and repaired. I made a post on my local Mustang Facebook group asking for recommendations of who could do the work. And within a few minutes, I had 5 or 6 recommendations. One guy said he was a professional welder. He had all his own equipment. He could come to my house and do the work. So he's been over, looked at the car, and now I'm just waiting for some of the parts that I've ordered from CJ Pony Parts to be delivered. And then we're going to get busy welding those parts onto the car. So next time, I'm going to show you the work that we've done to the car. Hopefully we've done some framework. Hopefully the engine is out, and we'll be a little bit further down the road of this restoration project. So until next time, thanks for watching.